Not a problem at all. I think first of all, as always, I want to pay tribute to the fallen comrades who have paid the ultimate price since we started all this. And I think, like we have always said, the tree of liberty will be watered by the blood of patriots and martyrs who pay the ultimate price, like we have seen since this regime came into power. Finally, the chicken are coming home to roost in terms of what I have been saying to be the reason why it is urgent business for the country to deal with William Ruto decisively, because he represents everything that Kenyans are against. And the IEBC, the way it has been constituted, the selection panel, can already tell you that William Ruto knows that if he goes into election, the outcome is only one. And so he has started the process of rigging that election now. And that is, if you look at the charade, first of all, who are those individuals? And I thought, I called on Kenyans to be vigilant when dealing with William Ruto. He buys time so that he can manage you people. He buys time so that he can know what your right price would be, because he believes that everybody has a price. And I like what Pombekali was just saying. He says that, you know, William Ruto is a very dangerous person. He's a dangerous politician. He's a monster. He knows. So everything you do, he is calculating. He's saying, okay, so when we were talking about IEBC, they quickly constituted the selection panel, and our focus was distracted from looking at who those individuals constituting the selection panel are. And I want to take us all back. Look at them. I don't want to cast aspersions or make any imputations about anybody's character here, but who are those individuals? I don't want to mention their names. I'm challenging Kenyans to go and look at them. And then you add 1 + 1 to how they have conducted the interviews, the way they have asked the questions they have asked during those interviews will not bring anything. You cannot expect an IEBC that is going to be independent-minded, an IEBC that will stand its mettle and say, William Ruto, Mr. President, whoever it is, this is what we are talking about. So ultimately, Kenyans, I want to agree with the person who spoke immediately before me that what we need to do is to be clever in how we want to deal with William Ruto. Because let me tell you, right now what you have seen over the past week with the Chief of Defense Forces coming out to speak, Nurdin Haji coming out to speak, it is basically a process. We are being managed. And remember what I said the other time when they said they are introducing this new law that will be seeking to punish people who stop or interfere with the peaceful transfer of power. And I told you guys, it was a setup. They are preparing the country for the things they want to do in 2027 or any other time. Because the question you ask yourself is, why would the CDF come out? And this is the first time we've had the CDF coming out to speak on a political issue in the manner, in the tone and language and diction that General Kahariri was speaking. And that is why you must ask yourself, they are preparing the country, because who told them that any Kenyan out here was asking to overthrow the government? We are simply saying that we want, because you cannot come and tell Kenyans that they are committing crimes or violating the constitution when William Ruto himself is the biggest violator of the constitution and public policy that has its life emanating directly from the constitution. So let me get back to the IEBC so that I don't get distracted a little bit. What we are seeing is that this is a charade. William Ruto and Raila Odinga have decided what they want with this IEBC. They want to manipulate the process and they want to walk Raila, because William Ruto again understands who Raila is. He was his student. He supported him. The reason why Ruto went to the ICC was because of fighting for Raila. And so when you bear that in mind, that will tell you he knows what he's doing. He is managing the politics right now. And he's a master manager of politics. So that by the time we are getting to 2027, what we are getting is a situation that is politically managed and everything will be fluid. And then the blackmail against the Gen Zs and Kenyans who will come out to say this election has been manipulated, the results that have been announced do not represent the will of the people, that is not how we voted. That is when William Ruto will unleash this military on the people, because he has already demonstrated that he has the military by his side. That is why they are being told, you're being told as Kenyans that you elected this government, so we are not going to help you to remove it because you elected them, by saying must go. And if Kenyans don't stop this, what is going to happen is that William Ruto is going to instigate, and mark my words, Kenyans must be able to stop this charade of the IEBC Selection Panel. We are not in a hurry. We should never be in a hurry to say bora IEBC. Tunataka process ambayo itatupatia an IEBC, men and women of integrity. And I want to correct the notion that people out here will not stand or will not say no to 20 million shillings. I want to tell you this, that there are men and women in that country who will still stand and say no to 20 million shillings. They will say no to 100 million shillings. They will say no to $1 billion, because they know that doing the right thing is rewarding. What I will call upon Kenyans is that we have an opportunity to forestall the tragedy that is going to befall us. Because what the CDF was telling us is that if we do things and later we change our mind, they want to confine us to the philosophy of fools, because it is only fools who don't change their minds. So when Kenyans are now saying we were deceived into electing this person, whether they won or not is a different story altogether. But what the CDF is saying is that we are doomed to the philosophy of fools if we do something today and tomorrow we change our mind, because it is wisdom to change your mind when you realize that what you're doing is not the right thing. So that is what we must read from what has happened this past week, so that we stop this charade of a selection process for IEBC commissioners, because uko mbele itaturamba. And they will use it against us, because they will say, you guys allowed, you pushed us to appoint this IEBC, and now you're complaining we are not going to allow it. You made your bed, you have to lay on it. Kenyans must be wiser than being confined and set up for failure in the name of that philosophy of doom. So whatever is going with IEBC, in a nutshell, the long and short of what I have spoken for the last 9 minutes is to say this: it is all monkey business. It is a validation process that Kenyans are being blackmailed into, and we must stop it, because the law and the constitution does provide with clarity, crystal clarity, how we are supposed to manage those processes. And the way this is going is not one of them, and we must stop it, and stop it now. And it is urgent business that we do so. I remind you as I land that power belongs to the people. Article 1 of the Constitution. Not even the CDF can tell the Kenyan people what they are going to do when they feel that those in office, those they delegated their power to, are not exercising it according to the aspirations of the people. The people, by dint of Article 1 of the Constitution, have the power, and they can decide to withdraw that power and assign it and appropriate it how best they want. Otherwise, whatever is going on in the country right now is a charade, is a sham, is conmanship that must be stopped, because if we don't, then we are doomed. We must refuse to be bungled into this idea of sanitizing a process that is strangling the Kenyan people. I learned, Kenyans, let us do this for the sake of our country and for the sake of the future generations that will one day look behind and ask, who are these who came before us, and what did they do when injustice visited and was visited and meted out on our country? Thank you, Hillary. Thank you, fellow Kenyans. Let's continue to speak. I thank you.